Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Ku-ring-gai Local Planning Panel meeting, 21st of September 2020. As most people will know, we're proceeding today by Zoom conferencing. So just everyone is on a mute when your name is called. If you're a speaker, if you could just unmute and speak. And then once your submission, your time is concluded and you have no further questions, if you could just place yourself back on mute. We're going to first, on behalf of the panel, recognise the traditional custodians of the land, the Ku-ring-gai people on whose land we meet today. The order of business, we've got apologies first. Do we have any apologies from staff or no members? We have our members here today. My name's Jacqueline Townsend. I'm the chair. We've got expert panel member Jared Tarusi. We have the second expert panel member Michael Levy, and we have our community panel member Suzanne Jolly. We have, and I'd just also like to welcome and thank the staff for being present here today as well. The panel declarations, do we have any declarations to be made by any panel members?
No.
No.
Yes, Madam Chair. Michael Levy here. I have a conflict of interest with item GB5 in that I'm providing planning consultancy services for the applicant for that application on another project outside of the Ku-ring-gai LGA. So I'll take no part in the consideration or discussion of that matter.
Thank you. And I have no conflicts of interest. Staff declarations, are there any declarations of interest from the staff? Mr. Garland? No, there's none. For the speakers, like I mentioned, we've got quite a few. There's 2 items at the public meeting today. They are, the first one is 39 to 41 Babbage Road, Roseville Chase, which is demolition of existing structures and construction of 10 seniors living units, including basement parking, landscaping and associated works under the State Environment Planning Policy, housing for seniors or people with a disability. And then the second item is was on the business papers, is GB5, and it's the 1A and 1 to 3 Corona Avenue, Roseville, demolition of existing structures, tree removal and construction of a new residential flat development comprising 23 units, basement parking and associated works. We'll deal with the first item today, which is the Babbage Road, Roseville Chase, as the demolition of the existing structures and 10 seniors living units proposed. The recommendation by staff is for refusal, and so we have a number of speakers speaking for the recommendation of refusal, and we also have one speaking against the recommendation, which we'll go to after we hear from the others. So when I call your name, if you could unmute and speak, you'll be given 3 minutes. Because there's a number of speakers today on these 2 items, we'll be quite strict with the time limit. Once your time is up, if you could stay on the line, as there may be questions from panel members of what you've submitted to us. If you hear someone before you make the same submission that you intend to make, could you either move on from that in your own submission or make a decision whether you actually need to speak or not? We don't need to hear from several people on the same issue, but glad to hear from everyone. So if you do want to make a submission, you're more than welcome to stay on and do so. So our first speaker today is John Costa. Are you there, John? John Costa?
Yes, I've just unmuted. How do you read?
Great. We can all hear you very clear, John. Thank you very much for coming to speak to us today. When you're ready, your 3 minutes will start.
Before my 3 minutes start, firstly, before you start my time, some errors in the assessment report attached to the meeting agenda.
Sorry, John. John, sorry, Mr. Costa, sorry. Your submission is 3 minutes and your submission starts with as soon as you speak to that report.
All right. I've been a resident of East Roseville and Roseville Chase for the past 56 years. I've resided at my address 37 Babbage Road for the past 22 and a half years. I'm a direct neighbour to the proposed development. In addition to my objection to this DA dated the 5th of December 2019, I still do not consider this application merits consent. There is no doubt the development standard is breached by the proposal. It is very clear from the refusal of all DAs and BAs lodged for this site that a common refusal has been the inability to drain the site, including DAs and BAs from 2004 to 2007 under the previous owner. Unfortunately, drainage limits the size and scale of the development appropriate to this site, unless, of course, someone has the ability to redefine physics and make gravity push water uphill. Over my 22-odd years at this address, I've witnessed many storm events and understand firsthand how important the drainage issue is. A professional developer would instruct his legal counsel to conduct searches of all DAs and BAs that relate to a particular site and request reasons for refusal are included in searches prior to proceeding to settlement. Clearly, this may not be the case. I understand that residents may not always embrace change, but neighbouring properties and the wider Roseville Chase community views the impacts from this proposed development as unreasonable development, having regard to the circumstance, the context, the suitability of the site for development of this scale and the likely impact of the development and the statutory planning regime. It is important to emphasise that all development should adopt contextual approach. That is, the design should respond to both neighbourhood and streetscape character and the opportunities and constraints offered by a specific site. There is nothing generally modest residential scale in the way this proposal would necessarily read when viewed from the street and neighbouring properties. One being a 3-storey appearance as the basement garage extends above ground level by 1.8 metres, the seniors living states 1 metre. Without limiting any other criteria, the impact that the bulk and scale, built form and character of this proposed development is likely to have on existing uses, approved uses and future uses of the land in the vicinity of the development sets an unacceptable development precedent. I strongly oppose to the waste storage forward of the building line and strongly agree with council that the waste storage should be relocated to the basement car park with provision for council waste truck to service bins stored there. With a predominant breeze from the northeast during summer months, smell from the waste storage area would be blown straight into my kitchen and living area windows. I strongly also oppose the depth of excavation of the basement garage and also the depth of excavation to accommodate 2 stormwater tanks of 10 cubic metres capacity each. There's been no hydrological survey or geotechnical survey done. This may affect the groundwater on the neighbouring properties. I've also got concern for vibration during and damage to my property during excavation. Overshadow and privacy. Regarding the overshadowing of my property at 37 Babbage Road and the pools of both 10 and 12 Rose Street, I note absence of accurate information makes it very difficult to undertake an accurate and properly informed assessment of the proposal's impacts. I installed a height pole to judge the effects of overshadowing and found a large amount of error, in particular to both my house windows and the rear open space. The proposal should provide correct information regarding layout and conditions of neighbouring properties, ideally prepared by a surveyor and including heights to the Australian height dantrum of structures and ground level, so neighbours' existing shadows can be accurately calculated. Shadow diagrams should include the total area of the neighbouring open spaces as well as illustrations.
Mr. Costa, thank you. That's your time. There was certainly a lot of information provided to us. Can you just hold on for 1 minute and I'll ask the panel members if they have any questions for you. Panel members, Mr. Teresi?
No, Madam Chair.
No, Madam Chair.
Ms. Jolly, no? No,
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Costa, for coming today, and you're more than welcome to stay on the line and listen to the rest of the submissions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Now we've got Viken Havaspian. Sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. Viken, are you there? Viken? No, I'll come back then. We'll go to Roy Kwan. Roy Kwan, I can see you there. Are you there? Roy Kwan?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you. Your 3 minutes
Okay.
starts.
Join the meeting.
Thank you. When you're ready.
My name is Roy, and I'm speaking on behalf of 43 Babbage Road, Roseville Chase, which is an adjacent property to the proposed DA at 3941 Babbage Road. The 3 points I'd like to raise today include water management and existing interallotment easement at the rear of the properties, visual and acoustic privacy, as well as the site and traffic triangles associated with the driveway. Within the council's report, the engineer had noted there were some inconsistencies in the proposed water management system at 3941 Babbage Road, noting the non-compliance of the proposed pump-out system and reference to the construction of a 300mm stormwater drainage pipe within the existing interallotment easement. It was noted in the report that the consent from the associated properties sharing the easement is required if the 300mm stormwater drainage piping solution was to be considered. Now, I have received written correspondence from all the adjacent properties burdened by the existing interallotment easement, so namely 43, 45, 47, 49 and 51 Babbage Road, confirming that they do not and will not consent to the modification, adjustment of the existing easement or the construction of a 300mm stormwater drainage within their property, benefiting 3941 Babbage Road. These statements can be sent through to the council for record purposes and reference the current and future DA applications associated with 3941 Babbage Road. Now, there are some obvious issues associated with the surface drainage of stormwater on the surface of the easement, if that's where the solution ends up being, namely flooding, such as flooding on top of topsoil erosion, the likelihood of additional weeds, pests, mosquitoes, and potentially diseases. Apart from the surface drainage and pipewater drainage within the easement, there was also some concerns regards to potential hydrant fire systems that were nominated as part of the BCA requirements from the fire safety schedule. If a hydrant system is installed for the proposed development, how this hydrant water discharge will be drained, if it's ever activated, is also a question. The second point I'd like to raise in relation to the intrusion of visual and acoustic privacy on 43 Babbage Road. The proposed development does not appear to comply with the design objectives stipulated in the Senior Living Policy Guidelines for infill developments, where the development is required to minimise impact on the privacy and amenity of existing neighbour dwellings. On the architecture drawings that were submitted as part of the DA application, there was a total of 15 windows which overlooked directly into 43 Babbage Road's backyard and into the Frank pool. Whilst the council has identified certain non-compliances associated with the deep soil zone, 43 Babbage is also concerned with acoustic privacy associated with the communal driveway adjacent the property boundary. The thoroughfare of 10 plus vehicles on top of the garbage disposal trucks traversing the entire length of the property will cause unacceptable noise pollution for the immediate adjacent neighbours. In addition to the above, it is also understood that there will be 1.8 metre high fencing proposed around the perimeter of the development. Whilst we have previously raised safety concerns associated with the vehicle access within the area, the proposed fencing further diminishes the visibility of the road traffic along Babbage Road and also the site triangles associated with the development. The visibility of pedestrians on the walkway along Babbage Road is also compromised with the 1.8 metre high fencing that is proposed. That's the end of my statement.
Thank you very much. Panel members, do we have any questions?
No, Madam Chair.
No? Michael, no?
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kwan, for coming along. And I see Viken Havasakian is back. Are you there? Viken? Unmute.
Yeah, I can ask him to.
Hello, Viken? Yep, hello.
Hi.
Thank you for joining.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So when you're ready, your time will commence.
Sincere apologies for that. We're living in the technology age.
That's fine. We're managing, don't worry.
I just got cut off right when I was about to speak. No, thank you. Look, firstly, thank you so much for the panel for inviting views on this particular matter. It is of genuine concern for the local community, and given the site has a long history of refused DAs, we just thought it'd be appropriate to speak. Also, just before I jump in, wanted to also state I concur and support the arguments made and to be made by my fellow community members in this meeting, just opposing to development, and would like to add the following. The development application consists of certain outdated reports. It's got inconsistencies across reports. It's got missing reports under the requirements of the DA.
But to be specific, the landscape plan, for instance, and the arborist report is inconsistent with regards to tree numbering. There's no geotechnical report. There's no building sustainability index certificate. It's got drawings which miscalculate floor space areas by excluding car parking, loading zones, cooling machinery, and the like. And there's no details of certain retaining wall structures which are essential. Now, these are, on the face of it, simple issues, but they also just simply create a feeling of genuine concern over the lack of attention to detail which is required for a development of such large scale, particularly on the development which can have the impact, as others have mentioned, on the significant altering of streetscape and local character. In addition, a waste collection has not adequately been planned for at the most simplest of levels, whereby the DA has not even provided an assessment of whether the council's small waste vehicle can enter the site, stand, turn, leave the site in a forward direction, nor does it detail the head height of 2.6 metres for the vehicle to clear the site. So what's even more concerning is that all this needs to occur on the one-way strip of Babbage Road, which converges into incoming traffic from the busy Ku-ring-gai Road. It just further emphasises, other arguments that why the site is simply inappropriate for this sort of development. And just lastly, for a DA which is trying to comply with SEP relating to housing for seniors or people with disabilities, there are simple issues such as wheelchair access, whereby Unit 3, for instance, cannot have a wide enough path to travel from their ramp to the front door, nor is it able to achieve compliant access to the street, where also prevents access to common facilities or the garbage facilities. In addition, we've had correspondence from a local community nurse in the area stressing the importance for provisions such as, ambulance bays and disabled taxis, minibuses used for seniors outings, and parkings for carers, not just families, but those who assist with housework and shopping and laundry. All of the above may sound simple, but it just goes to the heart that the development and the site is just simply inappropriate. It kind of lacks sufficient planning. It's nothing against the developer itself. But I do simply want to thank you for your time in considering my appeal for the rejection. I've got a genuine concern that development proposals such as this put the community at risk of further applications and overdevelopment. But I appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Vicken. The panel members, do we have any questions?
Just a quick question, Madam Chair. Do you actually have a property adjoining or reside in the area?
I do. I currently live, for full disclosure, in Pyrmont, but my property is 45 Babbage Road, Roseville Chase, and it does. I'm one of the ones who signed the petition for the easement affecting my area.
No, it's just just nice to know which property you actually own in the context of the development.
Of course.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Panel members, no further questions? No. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. The next speaker is Jeffrey Krieger. Are you there? I see you unmuted, Jeffrey.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. When you're ready, your 3 minutes starts.
Good afternoon, panel. I would like to draw your attention to the McArdle Arborist's report of the 13/10/19, particularly to trees number 30 and 31. Those two mature Canary Island date palms happen to be on my property, number 10 Rose Street, Roseville Chase. I'm very concerned that the proponent sees only moderate to low retention value in those trees. He has no right to remove trees on my property. Further, the arborist's report completely excludes locally significant mature eucalypt, which is rooted between the two Canary Island palms. It's about 20 metres tall. My grandparents planted that tree in 1936. I'm amazed that that tree does not appear at all in the arborist's report, either in written form or in the imagery that the arborist presented to council for the proposed DA. One of the prior speakers has already spoken about parking and the community nurses' concern, so I'm not going to double up on that. Suffice to say that the development is completely out of keeping with the local environment, predominantly houses on large blocks of land where children play. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeffrey. Questions, panel members? No,
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for coming and speaking today.
Pleasure.
The next speaker is Anthony Aruza.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
you're in support of the refusal. When you're ready.
Right. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. My name is Anthony Wurtzer and I'm a resident of 26 Ravine Road, which backs onto the southeast side of the proposed development. We are also the owners of 30 Ravine Road, which runs adjacent to the existing stormwater easement that has been referenced within this and previous DOs. I'd also like to acknowledge that the objection letter that we submitted in relation to this DO was as the owners of 26 and 30 Ravine Road. However, the council's location sketch attached as a part of the meeting minutes outlining objections to the development does not have 30 Ravine Road noted as an address in submission received. I'd also like to send apologies from the owners of 28 Ravine Road who were unable to register to speak due to prior commitments. Regarding the proposed development, we support the officer's recommendation of refusal. A significant issue with the application is the stormwater management. The proposed stormwater management plan, like a number of elements of the DA, contains various errors, omissions, inconsistencies, contradictions, and generalisations across different documents which have been submitted. In addition to the lack of information regarding to the systems and the characteristics of the block, the current design also does not incorporate flow from the up and downstream properties which are affected by the easement. A flood study and hydrological assessment of the full block inbounded by Babbage Road, Ravine Road and Rose Street has not been undertaken to assess the full catchment area of the entire easement. The current OSD pump-out arrangement will be unreliable as it's still dependent on the existing easement in the event of failure of the system, which I personally do not see as acceptable. The proposed development's incoherence with the character of the local area is a major concern. The three-storey development will dominate the existing surrounding residential properties and is in no way in harmony or contributing to the Roseville Chase community. The excessive floor to space ratio demonstrates the extent of the development, how it dominates the property and is inconsistent with the green, leafy and spacious backyards surrounding any other properties. The scale of the back building is excessive and overlooks our backyard at 26 Ravine Road, with the windows of the kitchen and dining rooms looking straight into our property. The pitch of the roof of the rear structure is excessive due to the addition of an attic, which in my opinion is not consistent with the intent of seniors living and planning objectives. Our written submission included a 2-scale overlay of the rear building elevation put onto a picture of our backyard, demonstrating its dominance with insufficient privacy provisions. There also does not appear to be sufficient fire egress options from the rear of the property. The proposed driveway access to the rear building is also located within a position and at an RL that will result in headlights projecting into our houses and other houses along Ravine Road, as well as provide increased noise pollution to these usually quiet backyards. The proposed levels required for excavation and lack of information provided from a geotechnical and structural perspective also cannot see how the design requirements can be met and are concerning for all surrounding properties. As a result of these issues and other issues which we outlined in our written submission, based upon these, we believe the development's decision of refusal should stand and it should not be allowed to go ahead. Thank you for your time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions, panel members? No? None.
No.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to speak with us today.
Thank you.
Now we have the architect for the application, Mr. Owls, Mark Owls. Yeah, thank you, Mark.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Did you want to make any submission or are you here just to assist with questions?
No, I'm just here to field any questions. We understand all the concerns and accept the council's decisions. We've got nothing really to add, so I'm just available to answer any questions you've got.
I know I've got one, which is, I just want, there's obviously a lot of non-compliance which with this development, which council has pointed out with your you and your client, or with your client maybe not directly with you. Is there a reason why there was no attempt to try and resolve some of these issues without having to come through here today?
What issues in particular were they?
You've seen the report?
Yes, I have.
There's a couple of non-compliance responses.
Yep.
Do you seen that?
Yeah, look, we were more than happy to make amendments or changes and negotiations, but the plans that we sent through to council were not accepted, and any contact that we tried to make with council's engineer was also rejected. So we've essentially been stopped from making any changes or amendments to the application.
So in relation to the 44.6 response, would you say that was an adequate response for this type of development?
I'm not a planner. I'm not able to make a call on a planning issue that I haven't written.
Right, okay.
So I won't. I can't comment on that.
I thought you were here to speak on behalf of the applicant. You're obviously not. I don't have any other questions. The panel members, did you have any questions for the architect?
Yeah, I do, Madam Chair. In terms of the number of stories, the state policy says 2, you're proposing 3. And I note that you didn't put a 4.6 in for the increase in height. So putting aside the issues of drainage, is there any reason why you did not put a 4.6 in terms of the height?
I think the argument was that we were going for a basement, so it's not included. It's excluded as a story in the definition. But again, we're more than happy to include any further documentation that's required.
Right. Okay. No, I've got no further questions.
Madam Chair, sorry, you mentioned before that you'd prepared some draft plans, but they weren't accepted by council. Were they revised architectural plans or revised drainage plans?
Yeah. Revised architectural plans that pretty much, well, they've dealt with a lot of issues in that initial report. But I got an email back straight away that said these are unsolicited, and basically they're not getting looked at. And we also tried to make contact with our hydraulic engineer, tried to make contact with the council hydraulic engineer, but they were unwilling to help.
Okay, and what were some of the key changes with those plans in responding to the concerns?
We shifted the refuse. We removed the attic from units 3 and 4. We removed the car park areas through the central, where the drainage easement goes through. So there's more pervious turfed or landscaped area through there. Some of the envelope, the footprint of the basement was reduced from the boundary. We also stepped in units. We reduced size of unit 7 and unit 1 to increase the side setback from the neighbour there. Which number is it? From number 43. They were the large issues. All the other things were more minor than anything. We removed all the common area fencing to the front yard. We increased, we shifted the driveway, so there was more of a greater distance in between the neighbour number 43 and the driveway. So we did quite a few changes, but as I say, they weren't even looked at. I didn't even want to be seen.
Okay, thanks. That's all, Madam Chair.
Just on that point, there was a meeting with council and your client on the 7th of May to discuss all these outstanding issues relating to the application, and it was agreed. So if I'm reading agreed right, it would have been by your client and council that the assessment should continue on the available information. And at that time, was it likely to result in a recommendation by the council of refusal? Because of the preliminary assessment, there were so many issues that it was impossible to try and, it says here, issues raised were substantial. So this was back in May. So I don't think that the opportunity wasn't afforded to you and your client, or to your client.
Okay. I'll agree. Okay, that's fine.
Suzanne Jolie, did you have any questions?
No, it just sounds a little bit interesting in terms of the timing, that's all. No questions.
I have nothing further. Thank you very much, Mr. Alves, for coming along to answer any questions we had regarding the architectural plans. There are no further speakers on that item, so we'll go now to the next item at the meeting today, which is item GB5, 1A and 1 to 3 Corona Avenue, Roseville, and that's for the demolition of existing structures, tree removal and construction of a new residential flat development comprising 23 units, basement parking and associated works. Just on that prior item, I forgot to mention that we'll move into a deliberation at the close of the public meeting, and the decision will be on the website within 48 hours. Just before I hear or call from the speakers on this item, I just want to point out that a lot of the written submissions, including a late petition, all relate to a development of 33 units. It may be that the speakers and community are not aware that is no longer the case, that this is an application for 23 units only. So we're going to be challenged a little bit by accepting some of the comments in that, given that the response is to 33 units and not that which we got before us, which is for 23 units. So I just put that out to the speakers on this item. If you are speaking to a development of 33 units, I'm not convinced that you're looking at the right application. So you might want to satisfy yourself. Of course, there's other issues on this, just not the number of units, but just bear that in mind, that that's the case. So the speakers on this, there's a number speaking against, and the recommendation by the council assessor is for an approval. So there's a number of speakers against that recommendation, and then there's a speaker for the recommendation, and which we'll go to after the other speakers. So the first on our list is Frank Walker. Mr. Walker, you there? Yes, you are, and you're unmuted. So thank you for coming to speak with us. So when you're ready, your time will start. Mr. Walker? Maybe he's walked away for a minute. Okay. I see Josie McCormack. You there, Josie?
Yes, I am.
Great. Could we start with you? You're ready to go. So let's hear from you. Thank you.
Right. Firstly, in regards to the statement of 33 units, the letter sent out on the 3rd of September states 33 units. However, I'm sure many others are aware there's 23 units. The 33 units actually was below the height limit. The 23 units is now above the height limit. So many people will be speaking about the height limit. I am actually speaking in regards to the traffic and parking. The plans state that there will be parking for the workers in the basement. Clearly to note that during demolition, there will be no basement. During excavation, there will be no basement. During the early part of construction, there will be no basement because there's a vehicle lift that has to be installed to go to the bottom of the basement. There will be no parking on site. At the front of the property, there will be site demountables, further closing this off. During excavation and demolition, there'll be a drive-on section at the front of the property to take all that material away. During construction, there'll be a loading zone they're proposing, which will impinge upon parking across the street, which is in Willoughby Council, I believe. There is no parking since the original application that further to the east of the site. There is very little ability for parking west. It is quite dangerous also for heavy vehicles to travel west. The large garbage truck that's used by Willoughby Council has great difficulty coming along that street on a Monday morning. The condition on the report states that there would be only entry via the Pacific Highway. It's not clear enough to say that it's the Corona Avenue and Boundary Street entrance. There is difficulty in regards to the delivery of crane segments, mobile crane, delivery of the excavator, concrete pump, cement trucks, and standby cement trucks, and where there'll be a pause area for that, delivery of structural material, delivery and unloading of the vehicle lift. That will have to enter the underground parking. How is this going to occur? During construction, there will be hoarding. There'll be some sort of vehicle obstruction so that we in 2/17(2) to 14 Pacific Highway don't end up driving into the excavation. That encroachment would be at least a metre for temporary works. That would narrow the driveway, a two-way driveway that services currently 30 units below what would be the car park development plan. The width that the road is in their plan would not be 6 metres, which is required by that control plan. There is, when it's developed, there will be more than 50 units servicing that driveway and the amount of traffic that will be moving up and down that driveway. That would cause significant problems to those people that live here. Now, if I quickly talk about some of the height issues, some will be talking further on that.
Josie, sorry, your time's actually up.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear a beep.
Yeah, sorry, it was going off. Is there just something quickly you wanted to say about height? Just quickly?
I'll leave it to others. It's not reasonable. It's not reasonable in the context of the surrounding areas.
Yeah, okay.
I have made written submissions, and I'm sure if the panel reads that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. Do we have any questions, panel members?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Only to say the submissions have been read.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for coming along. It was very helpful, that submission on the parking issue down there. The next speaker we have, Frank Walker, are you there now?
Hello, panel. Yes, Frank Walker.
Hello, we're ready for you when you're ready.
Okay, Frank Walker, 4 Alexander Roseville. I've lived here for 44 years. I know there's 23 units in the latest submission. I object to the DA as I believe the proposal doesn't meet the requirements of the KLEP 2012. That's the local centres. Prior applications from 2011 and Land and Environment Court hearings have either been withdrawn or refused for failure to meet the statutory controls. I'm not objecting to a development at 1 to 3 Corona, just one that doesn't meet the controls. The applicant has submitted a proposal for a building on land colour-coded green called N on the height of building map. The height limit on that land is 14.5 metres. Further, that region is bounded by a blue line, defining an area known as Area 1, for which the height limit is 17.5. Part of the site, the driveway lot, is not within the area enclosed by the blue line, but in a region coloured yellow, limit L, colour named L, and the height limit's 11.5. The applicant has lodged an objection to the LEP, clause 4.3, on the implicit premise that adding the area of the driveway in region L to the area of the lots in region N changes the height control on the lot in region L. However, merely adding the numbers together to get an area bigger than 2.8% bigger than 2,400 square metres so as to avail itself of the height limit of Area 1, 17.5 metres, does not change the height limit on the driveway lot in region L to that of the lots in region N. There is no clause 4.6 variation request to change the height controls of the driveway lot to those of region N, nor conceptually include the driveway lot in Area 1. The KLEP clause 4.5, site area. Site area is taken to be Part B. The proposed development is carried out on 2 or more lots. The area of any lot on which the development is proposed to be carried out that has at least one common boundary with the other lot. That's the definition of the site area. However, the Council Assessment Report for compliance with the KLEP clearly states that no development is to be carried out on the driveway lot. That means that the driveway lot cannot be included in the site area. Therefore, whilst the site area may be arithmetically exceed 2,400 square metres, for the building height in Area 1, the area of driveway cannot be used to vary the permitted building height from 14.5 to 17.5. Region L has a FSR of 0.85 to 1 and Region N 1.3 to 1. Region L, therefore, has a lower density compared to Region N. The height of the proposed building is 80.2% greater than the height limit in Region L. The site area is increased by 2.8%, yet the maximum building height is claimed to be 20% higher than the limit of 14.5. The proposal does not establish a transition in scale with the adjoining lower density residential lot on the Lot L side, nor is it a development with a built form that is compatible with the size of the land. The proposal fails several other requirements of the KLEP and DCP, including side and rear setbacks, basement encroaching into setback, car parking higher than 1 metre above the ground level, and subterranean rooms to any part of the apartment. The proposed excess of height of the building and failures on the KLEP and DCP controls are not in the public interest, but solely in the developer's interest. Finally, if approved, as the previous speaker mentioned about the traffic and big trucks, if approved, can the conditions of consent explicitly, in words of one syllable, mandate that heavy vehicle construction traffic enter and depart Corona Avenue from its intersection with the Pacific Highway and Boundary Street, so as to avoid the inevitable blocking of Corona Avenue to residential traffic, as has happened with previous developments. The developments in Nola Corona, Kings Avenue have trucks stuck in Corona Avenue between the cars all day, and they have to wait until residents return to remove their cars to remove the truck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Panel, do we have any questions?
No, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I just want to note that our expert, Michael Levy, has exited this part of the meeting. I should have mentioned that when we started this. He left before the first speaker as he has a conflict. So just if there was any concerns, he's not here in this part of the meeting. Mr. Walker, can you just meant that last condition?
Yes.
Someone that was laughing I couldn't quite catch what you were saying. What was that about the trucks getting stuck in the street?
What I was saying is that the previous developments that have occurred in Kings Avenue and Nola Corona, which is just along the road from this proposed site, and indeed the one in Nola Road, have had heavy trucks stuck in Corona Avenue because they can't fit between the cars, and the truck's been there all day. And the only way the trucks can be moved is when the residents return or are available to move their cars. In the Nola Road, they actually had semi-trailers, believe it or not, delivering stuff, and the only way they could turn into Nola Road was by using a forklift to lift the semi-trailer up and push it round the corner.
So
there's a real issue. There's a real issue with construction vehicles, and I think it should be made explicit that vehicles only enter and depart via the Corona Avenue intersection with the Pacific Highway. The traffic report leads the reader to conclude that the vehicles can go from Corona to the Pacific Highway by any number of the other roads, which we know that they can't, because we've lived here and we've lived through it.
How do they turn around if they come in and they can't? Where are they going to turn around and go back out that entry?
The traffic report says they turn around, exit the site. They turn around and exit via, and they depart the site in a forward direction. And if they can exit the site in forward direction, they can actually exit the road onto Pacific Highway at the Boundary Street intersection.
Okay.
So the traffic report is specious. I think it's giving a false impression as to what's available and what can happen.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It was very helpful, Mr. Walker. Thanks for your time. And the next speaker is Hilda Chen. Hilda, are you there? Hilda Chen? No, I don't have Hilda. Do we have Pablo Schaffner? However, you're there, Pablo. Could you unmute if you're there, and it's your turn to speak. You're the last speaker on this item today. Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thanks very much. When you're ready.
Oh, good. And thanks to the panel for my chance to speak today. In regard to the petition, I spoke with many neighbours over the weekend who know that while the petition showed 33 units, they are in fact aware that the latest petition is for 23 units. In any event, the latest application is now overhyped by over 18% anyway. No real consideration has been made for the large green space that could be kept at 1 to 3 Corona Avenue. It already has 5 trees which are to remain, including 2 massive gums. Why not turn this space into a park? It's the perfect opportunity to turn this land into a large green open space. With the current construction already in the area and future developments planned, there will be a great deficiency of open spaces. The community wants more open spaces, and now more than ever with the significant impact of COVID-19, the community needs more open spaces, especially for mental health. The closest parks are Roseville Park on Clanville Road and Beauchamp Park in Chatswood. These parks are not close to us. The tiny patch of grass next to Roseville RSL is hardly worth mentioning. Why force a square peg into a round hole? A park would be perfect and would be a far smaller development than 23 units, and I cannot imagine any residents objecting. A large green open space should seriously be considered rather than a block of units which nobody wants. The assessment of significance flora and fauna document states that 2 threatened fauna species were recorded on site during surveys, and 2 other threatened fauna species were considered to have the potential to occur. These are powerful owls and 3 bat species. Commonwealth legislation requires that actions which significantly impact upon MNES should be assessed via a formal referral process. However, this assessment recommends that no such referral needs to be made. If this assessment states that 4 species are threat, why is it also suggesting that this information does not need to be referred to the Department of Environment and Energy? The Environmental Site Management Plan has no realistic and effective plan to minimise development noise affecting neighbours, other than to say they'll act upon complaints after they've been received. I put it to the panel that this is not an effective plan, as many residents have already brought up the problem of noise with each new application. Now more than ever, this ineffective plan for noise management remains flawed because of the countless more people that are working from home due to COVID-19. I have walked around this block from Corona Avenue, Pacific Highway, McLaren Parade, Nola Road and Nola Lane. Not one person I spoke with wants this building. Since 2013, there have been a number of applications for this site. None have been suitable, all have been flawed, and neighbours have objected every step of the way. This application does not serve the needs of the community. This community wants the bush to remain. Please say no to this development. Thank you, panel, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Shafner. Gerard and Suzanne, questions?
No, thank you.
No questions.
That's it. We don't have any questions for you, so thank you. And thanks for the explanation as well regarding the 23. That's helpful to know that everyone was aware that it's 23 when they signed it. And now let's call on Frank Stanley. Is it you there? The architect of this development. Frank, are you there? Mr. Stanix? No.
This is the only possibility.
Mr. Missick? Is the architect for the applicant on the phone? That's it. Okay. No further speakers, so we'll now call the public meeting to a close. We have, as I said earlier, we'll retire now to deliberate, and the decision of the panel will be put up on the council website within 48 hours. I'd just like to thank all the community members who came to speak. It's very helpful that you've given us your time to the panel to help with our deliberations. And as Suzanne Jolly, the community member, said, all your written submissions have been provided and read, and will be considered when we consider this decision. So thank you very much and have a lovely afternoon. I'll now close the meeting. Thank you.